Well, congratulations on Cellar Door. I just wanted to hear, like, very basic starting off. How did you find yourself attached to the script?
Um, so it was presented to me by the producers, and I read it. And from pretty early on in reading it, I knew I was going to do it, which you're not supposed to say. But I didn't know. Like
Bad poker face, and I get
yeah,
I'm the
oh,
same way.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm all in. I'm all in. It's fine. I'll do it for free. It's work experience. No, I just loved it. I really there is something kind of like darkly hypnotic about it. Like I love a script with a really simple, elegant premise at like the dark heart. Like, and
Yeah.
that really draws me in. And there was something so deliciously twisted about Cellar Door, right? And I think for me that's what it was. Like it had that sort of that sense of like the weird gothic fairy tale about it, right? Like and
Yeah.
but done in a really interesting contemporary way, done in a way that I didn't find derivative. And I'm a sucker for a tight 90. I love a story that's like lean and mean and like just has that sort of central driving thread that you get to like sort of spread the breadcrumbs along. And yeah, for me,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I worked very hard. I made them really think I wasn't going to do it for sure.
Yeah, you definitely were very much like, oh, I don't know, it's too
Oh.
short, but really in your head.
Yeah, it's I was hooked.
That's well, and I'm glad you say that because I feel like it has a plot that sounds like different, and then you watch it, and it feels like it could so easily be a Hallmark movie. But I think you have these gothic tendencies because of the infidelity, that playing with that. But I think the way that the story plays with those themes in a really different way is so interesting, and I think it makes it feel a little bit different than like we moved into a house and there's a creepy thing. I like how that script like toes that line of the familiar and the unfamiliar at the same time. So I can see how that's alluring as a director for sure. And
Yeah,
playing
I
with
mean, you
that.
put it beautifully. It is that it sort of it uses conventions and tropes and then
Yeah.
subverts the way that I found really interesting. And what you said, like it does again to come back to that sort of fairy tale quality. Like it's very
Yeah.
simple. Like it is a simple premise. It's the Faustian bargain, right? It's the Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
That it's that
Yeah.
one serpent in this beautiful garden that's going to just destroy everything, right?
Yeah.
Because we're all flawed. We all have our cellars, right? There's always somewhere
Yeah.
tucked away these secrets and lies and this legacy of deceit we carry with us. And that idea, what if it was a physical manifestation? What if that was a thing? What if there was a
Yeah.
cellar attached to a house that you were given that you couldn't go in, that each one of us fills, we imbue it with our own weaknesses and frailties and lies. And I found that really fun. Because I think what you said was really interesting, Mary Beth. It is at the heart, this is a story about marriage. It is
Mhm.
about this is a loving couple who go through this they go through this bereavement, this miscarriage that occurs, and
Yeah.
they want to start again. They're brave enough to say it, like, we need to start fresh. We've got to get out of here. We need to find something new. And they meet this enigmatic, charismatic, like reclusive billionaire in the house on the hill. And he wines and dines them and seduces them, and they have this amazing night, and they wake up the next day and there's a note, a contract on the table saying the house is yours on one condition. And it's that one condition though, isn't it?
How could you not? How could you not
Yeah.
say yes too? You know what I mean? Like, but would you open the cellar? Like, would you go in? Like, could
Would I?
you? Yeah, would you? Could
I mean,
you?
I am weak enough to admit I'd say I could, I'd be like, no, no, absolutely. I won't do it. I'll be fine. And then, yeah, like third night after too many glasses of red wine, I'll be down there like smashing at it like a,
Oh yeah,
you know,
yeah. I
yeah,
agree. I'm the same way. I'm like, admire the restraint here because I'd be like, no, I'm too nosy for this. You put something on a,
yeah,
and I get, I feel like we're all like that, which is so funny. We're like, oh yeah, totally. I don't have to open it, and you're like, what's down
yeah.
there?
But
But
I
your
think it's
cat.
that
Oh yeah,
thing,
sorry.
right? No, no, not at all, not at all.
Yeah.
I think it's that thing of there's like different spectrums of like personality, right? And there's
Yeah.
some people, and in our case, Sarah, who are able, like they have that the courage of their convictions, and they're strong-willed enough to say, like, no, I've
Yeah.
made my first impact. I've made my deal with the devil. If I can abide by this one rule, I can live the life I want. And in this house, she blossoms, she flourishes, she, you know, like her career goes from strength to strength. She's nurtured by the house, like she's nourished by it. And then you've got John, Scott Speedman's character, who's us, who's nosy and insecure and has to know. And their character arcs just completely
It's so
they
cool.
move
It's
in totally different
interesting.
directions at that point, you know? And he's, you know, his lies start to build up, his deceit builds up, these allegations at work about the sexual impropriety, they come to the front, you know, and his world begins to disintegrate as hers begins to blossom. And yeah, it was just done so beautifully in the script and superbly acted by Jordana and Scott. Like it was, yeah, it's sort of I
Yeah.
really hope it lands for the audience.
You got a really good cast too. And like you have a lot of experience working with bigger casts, but this especially, I mean, like it's just really the two. And there's obviously it's not just the two of them, but it really is on their shoulders, especially Scott Speedman's shoulders, because we follow him so much. What was that like working with the two of them, especially Scott Speedman, to kind of watch him go through the story and all the different beats his character goes through? Because his character is really going through it in lots of
Yeah, he
ways.
takes a beating.
I know this
Yeah.
guy.
Um, oh, I mean, they were just a dream. Like they're just brilliant. They're so talented, so hardworking, tireless. Like in their drive to do it better. Like you
Yeah,
know, and just
cool.
you know, like taking Scott first for the sake of argument. Like it's a tough character to play. Like you've got to really shed that vanity, like any vanity. You know, it's like he goes through it. Like and he was so there's a lot of two-facedness, if that's a word, to his character. There's
Yeah,
a lot has to be done in moments of spending a scene lying to someone and then only being able to sort of exhale to the audience for that one moment. And he was
yeah,
so precise, he was so detailed in the way he did that, and so much hinged on that. So it didn't sort of fall into melodrama. And there was a
yeah,
sort of physical transformation in him as well. Like he's sort of the way he designed his character, the way he sort of became a little more unkempt and his hair became more frayed and
yeah,
stopped shaving so closely. And it wasn't overdone, it wasn't overbearing, it was just so beautifully realized. And Jordana, who plays Sarah, I mean, she was just a dream. She's incredible in the film, and she, you know, as you say, like the one of the sort of the central pretext to the film is we need to follow Scott's character a little bit more than Jordana's. Things for
yeah,
Jordana have to happen off camera more, but she she was so nuanced. She had such like depth and resonance to her performance, and she did so much with her eyes. Like she would go from like so
yeah,
warm, she's so kind, she's such a nice person, and she would just get this kind of flinty hardness in her. And I was
yeah.
like,
She's
wow,
really
like
good at going back like that very like nurturing maternal vibe to like I will kill you and your whole family vibe very well. It's actually quite shocking.
yeah,
It's really cool to watch. So
terrifying.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Well,
it
because
is.
she
But I
has
mean, it's
that
like,
warmth the whole movie, and then you can when she's betraying that exterior, it's really poignant in those moments that you let her kind of let the mask down, and you or she lets the mask down.
it's
It's
that
good
thing as
work.
well when you have actors as brilliant as that when you're in the edit and you've got these like little nuggets of performance, these amazing moments where one of them will look away and the other holds the look longer, and then the other looks back and the other looks away. Like
Oh,
it's
that's so cool when
amazing.
you
It's
go back
like
and look at the footage like that and see that, and you're like, oh my God, I forgot how cool that
yeah,
was that day and that take that they were playing with things. Like that's just so fun.
that's it. The devil's in the detail as well. Like you
Yeah.
need that subtlety. Like and that was one of the things we talked about it a lot. Like we didn't want it to stray into melodrama too much.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
heightened emotion. It's a dark psychological thriller, right? Like it's
Yeah.
to have like it needs to be genre reverential, but at the same time, it's like we wanted to do a contemporary version. We wanted it to feel real, and it's
Yeah.
that they nailed it. Like that subtlety, that nuance of performance. That's what gives that.
And also Lawrence Fishburne coming in as the eccentric billionaire. I don't think it could have been a better person because he really is so warm and funny. And like he does that really well of like, don't worry about it. Like I'm totally cool. And he plays that role so well. And again, it's brief, but it does leave an impact. So that's been cool to get him on set for a little bit for that, just for that
Oh
part.
yeah, it was an absolute dream come true. He's an absolute rock star, you know, and he is so giving. He is such a warm, kind guy. like such a pleasure to have around set as well, which is always lovely. And like barely left set, just wanted to hang out, was talking to the crew. It
Oh,
was
that's so
great.
nice. Oh, that's so
Yeah, it
cool.
was a big, warm, fuzzy bubble, that set, I have to say, which is
Oh,
always fun when you're dealing with,
yeah.
horrific subject matter.
Jesus.
But he has that gravitas. He has that baritone voice, that amazing presence. Like he's suave and sophisticated and debonair and all the
Yeah.
things we needed Emmett to be imbued with quickly, because one of the
Yeah.
the central premise of the story, like you that Lawrence's character Emmett needs to arrive with a bang and then disappear just as quickly. He needs to order
Yeah.
the movie, and to have someone like Lawrence just absolutely nail and elevate that part was, yeah, it was a dream come true. I'm a
Hell yeah.
bit of a fanboy, I have to say.
But then
10%.
I will. The house that you used is incredible. So was that an actual house? Was it a combination of house and stage? How did that work in terms of the home that is the center of the film itself?
So we did as much. It was predominantly a location. Like we did as much
Okay,
location as we
cool.
possibly could, because we
Okay.
wanted, like we wanted, well, the house had the way that the way it was designed architecturally, it had these kind of long runs, like rooms flowed into one another, and what
Oh
we
yeah,
really
okay.
wanted was to embrace that, to have that sense of depth, like. And Michael Merriman, who's my incredible DP, like he really embraced that, because it also, we wanted it, once we'd found that location and we were like, we'd found this
Where was it,
unbelievable.
by the way?
It was in Portland, Oregon. That's
Oh
where we
wow.
shot.
Oh, cool. Sweet.
Amazing crews, unbelievable. Can't speak higher of that place. What a great place to shoot. Amazing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Um, yeah, yeah, so good. But there was that sort of sense of like gothic grandeur to the house, and once we
Yeah.
knew that's what we were going to lean into, we said let's do as much on location as we can, because
Oh, hell
especially because
yeah.
a lot of it takes place at night, to be able to throw light and to be able to sort of use practicals, which is a thing that Michael and I both
Yeah.
like, and then have a really interesting key light for the actors to be in. To have that depth was so important, and it gave that sort of castle by candlelight feel
Yeah,
that
it feels like a
what
castle. It does have that contemporary, like Gothic manor vibe. Like it's pretty and nice, but it feels too big for two people, and that there's at least six ghosts haunting the empty
yeah.
rooms.
Yeah. I mean, that you've hit the nail on the head. That's the thing. We also wanted a house that could be deceitful, right? So
Yeah.
from John's perspective, this house is claustrophobic and creepy and odd and uncomfortable. And then from Sarah's point of view, it's wonderful. It's where she starts afresh. Like she redesigns it. Like there's a big, obviously, once that Emmett's character moves out and they move in, there's sort of a big design change that was
Yeah.
beautifully by Angela, our designer, and it
So
was that it was that house gave us that sort of juxtaposition. To her, it was warm and cozy and nurturing, and to him, it was this kind of gilded cage. And yeah, it was a great find. We were the film gods smiled on us. Yeah.
I've got to be like playing in that space because I know like it's so hard to find the perfect space for like a film like this. So it's awesome that you were able to find a perfect house, so you didn't have to worry about. I don't know. It feels more lived in that way. So
Yeah. And I
yeah.
think it's something, obviously, that we augmented. There were builds and
Oh yeah,
returns
obvi. Yeah.
here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But it's also it's really nice to be able to follow characters. It's nice to have scenes flow, and to be able, when we got it on its feet in rehearsal, to be able to sort of, like, bubbles of inspiration would come up, and we'd be like, oh, this should flow to the kitchen, this should flow to the hall, and to be able to have that to play in. Yeah, it's great when you turn around and the crew are like, what have you just done? We've just blocked it all in here, and now we've got to clear this. No, they were wonderful. But yeah, to have that freedom was great. It was really nice to have that. Yeah.
That's awesome. And then I'm always curious, like from the script to filming, was there a lot that had to change or be changed to fit the location? What like anything that changed? Like were there a lot of changes from page to screen?
Um, no, but what we did, and what we were sort of slavish to, because I really think it's important, and I had Laurie who wrote it, and Craig and Sheila who
Yeah.
produced. They have this, and I share this sort of obsessive like attention to detail, and we
Mhm.
we worked and reworked the script to be location specific, and where we found
Oh, cool. And you
gems,
worked with the
wrote them
writers
in.
on that too?
Yes, yeah, yeah, worked with Laurie
Oh,
as well.
sweet. That's so
And
cool.
it's great, but it's wonderful to be able to do that, because I think it
Yeah.
makes it unique, it makes it bespoke, right? Like, to be
Yeah.
able we scouted, we picked the house, and then we sort of we started making changes together to make it fit neatly, and it really did. It fit
Oh,
like a glove.
neat. Oh, was she on set with you, the writer? Was she a big part of the filming process?
Yeah, as much as she could be. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
She's
know
very
that,
involved, which is yeah,
that's
wonderful, wonderful.
awesome. I know it's always different with projects, so that's cool to have her involved and have that collaborative process and like have that be like almost a living document, which is both terrifying and cool at the same time with the script. You're like, oh, everything's changing. That's
I I
amazing.
'cause I come from writing, so
Yeah.
I find it liberating. I really
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Okay, cool.
It just refines the blueprint, right? It just
Yeah.
makes when things fit and when you're able, and also between Lawrence and Scott and Jordana, some of the notes we got back were so good, like they were excellent. So to be able to sort of incorporate those through Laurie and then make the changes, sorry, make specifically tailored changes because of the house or the office or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so what draws you to the to genre projects? Like, is there some, what is it? Is there something about horror, thriller, psychological thriller that is particularly interesting to you as a creative and as a creator and a filmmaker?
Yes, I mean definitely. I like I'm drawn to them as a viewer, like,
As a viewer.
and I
Okay. Yeah,
do,
yeah.
yeah, and as an audience member, as a watcher, like that. That's something I look for, and I think that definitely drives me as a filmmaker to like explore
Yeah.
that. But I
Hmm.
think it's also I enjoy like I don't want to sound like so pretentious, but like heightened naturalism, right? Like
Yeah.
extraordinary people in extraordinary situations. I like
Yeah.
love that, and I really I enjoy films that pose a question and they have like a through line that you can see like that when they ask a simple question of the audience and you're on that roller coaster. I think for me that's like a real sweet spot. I really look for that.
Oh, yeah. Well, Vaughn, thank you so much for chatting with me about Cellar Door. This has been awesome to hear about the process, and I really appreciate it.
Oh no, not at all. Thanks so much for your time.